It's a strange question, a bit like asking if a knight could beat a samurai. The answer depends on everything. Where are they fighting? What are the rules? What do they have with them? But it's a good question because the answer tells us something important about who we are. It tells us about the path our ancestors took, a path that led away from brute strength and towards something else. So, let's set the scene. Imagine a dusty plain in East Africa, maybe 2 million years ago. The sun is hot. There are acacia trees dotted around. In the distance, you can see herds of ancient wildebeest. This is the world of Homo habilis. First, let's meet the contenders. In one corner, you have the chimpanzee. We'll use a modern chimp as our stand-in, since they are our closest living relatives and give us a good baseline for ape abilities. A male chimp is a powerhouse. He stands about 4 feet tall, but don't let that fool you. He weighs around 130 pounds, and it's almost all muscle and bone. His arms are long and incredibly strong, reaching down past his knees. His bones are denser than ours. His muscles attach to those bones in ways that give him explosive power. People throw around numbers, saying a chimp is 5 or 6 times stronger than a human. The exact number is hard to prove, but it's safe to say the difference is huge. A chimp can rip branches off trees, it can throw rocks with force. An adult male can tear a car door off its hinges. This isn't an exaggeration, it's a creature built for power. And then there are the teeth. A chimp's canine teeth are long and sharp. They are daggers, they are for fighting, for intimidating rivals, and for tearing into food. The chimp's bite force is immense, far greater than a human's. It's a weapon he always has with him. A chimp fight is a terrifying thing to witness. It's a whirlwind of screaming, biting, and tearing. It's over quickly, and it is brutally violent. Their primary strategy is to get in close, grab on, and use those teeth and that incredible strength. In the other corner, you have Homo habilis. The name means handyman. This was one of our early ancestors, living from about 2.4 to 1.4 million years ago. We have their fossils. We know what they looked like, more or less. Habilis was small, maybe 4.5 feet tall. They weighed less than 100 pounds, so right away they are smaller and lighter than the chimp. Their bodies were a strange mix of old and new. They had longish arms, a reminder of a tree-climbing past, but they weren't as long or powerful as a chimp's. Their legs were built for walking upright. They were bipedal. This was their full-time mode of getting around. This is a huge deal. It freed up their hands. Their hands were also more modern than those of earlier ancestors. They had a precision grip, the ability to touch the thumb to the fingertips. This allowed for fine manipulation. But what about their natural weapons? Their teeth were small and blunt, much like ours. The big fighting canines of their ape ancestors were long gone. They couldn't bite with any real effect in a fight. Their fingernails were flat, not claws. In a pure physical contest, habilis had. A one-on-one fight, no tools, no tricks, just two creatures on the savannah. A big male chimp sees a lone Homo habilis. Maybe they are competing for a piece of fruit or a carcass. The chimp decides to attack. It wouldn't be a fight, it would be a slaughter. The chimp would charge on all fours, covering the ground with incredible speed. The habilis, standing on 2 legs, would be slower. The chimp would close the distance in seconds. Habilis could try to punch or kick. It would be like a child hitting a professional weightlifter. The blows would have little effect. The chimp would grab habilis with those powerful arms. The strength difference would be overwhelming. Habilis would be mobilized instantly. And then the chimp would bite. With its massive jaw strength and sharp canines, the chimp would inflict devastating wounds. The fight would be over in less than a minute. The Homo habilis would be dead or dying. In a contest of pure biology, of tooth and muscle, the ape wins, and it's not even close. Our lineage traded that raw, physical power for something else. Standing on a plane with nothing but your body, Homo habilis was a weak, vulnerable creature. It was prey for many animals, and it would have been no match for a furious chimpanzee. But the story doesn't end there, because Homo habilis had a nickname for a reason. Handyman. This creature's advantage wasn't in its muscles or its teeth, it was in its brain. The habilis brain was bigger than the brain of earlier hominins like Australopithecus. It was still only about half the size of a modern human brain, but that extra size made a world of difference. That brain could think in a new way. It could see a rock and imagine a tool. This is where the old Darwin tool industry comes in. These are the earliest stone tools we know of, and Homo habilis was one of the creatures who made them. These tools are simple. They are not fancy spears or axes. An old Owen chopper is just a cobblestone, a rock that fits in your hand, that has had a few flakes knocked off one side to create a sharp edge. The flakes that came off were also useful. They were like primitive knives, sharp enough to slice through hide and meat. Now, let's run the fight again. The same two creatures on the same plane. But this time, the Homo habilis has been working. He holds a stone chopper in his right hand. It's a heavy piece of basalt about the size of a baseball with a jagged, sharp edge. In his left hand, he holds a couple of smaller, unmodified stones. The chimp charges again. He is just as fast, just as strong, just as angry. The habilis, however, does something different this time. He doesn't wait for the chimp to get close. He doesn't try to punch it. He understands the concept of distance. He understands projectiles. As the chimp closes in, the habilis throws one of the rocks in his left hand. Maybe he misses. Chimps throw things too, but often without great aim, it's more for display. The habilis, with a brain wired for better motor control and planning, might be a better shot. He throws the second rock. Let's say it hits the chimp in the chest. It's not a serious blow, but it's surprising. Wow. It's painful. It might make the chimp hesitate for a split second. That's all the time habilis needs. The chimp is now very close. It rears up to lunge. But habilis doesn't cower. He has the heavy chopper in his dominant hand. His bipedal stance gives him stability and allows him to rotate his torso and put his whole body's weight into a swing. He swings the rock. A punch from habilis would be useless, but a heavy rock swung with the full force of his body is a different weapon entirely. It's a force multiplier. It concentrates all that energy onto a single hard point. The rock smashes into the side of the chimp's head. The effect would be devastating. A modern human can kill another human with a single rock. The chimp has a thicker skull, but it's not invincible. A solid blow could fracture the skull, cause a concussion, or simply stun the animal. The chimp stumbles, it's dazed, confused, its charge is broken. Now the habilis can press his advantage. He can strike again, or he can use that other great hominid advantage, endurance running. He can turn and run. His bipedal body, with its long legs and efficient stride, is built for covering long distances under the hot sun. A chimp can sprint, but it overheats quickly. It can't run for miles like an early human could. The habilis could escape, or let's imagine a different outcome. The chimp gets a hold of the habilis despite the thrown rock. It grabs an arm, but the habilis still has the chopper. He can swing it even at close range. He can stab with the sharp edge, he can cut the chimp's hands, its face. A bleeding, wounded animal is a less effective fighter. The sharp flakes could sever tendons or arteries. The chimp's natural weapons are its teeth and hands. The habilis has created a new kind of weapon, one that can wound from a distance, one that can break bones, one that can slice flesh. In the second scenario, the outcome is not so clear. The chimp still has a massive strength advantage. If it gets a good grip and a clean bite, it's over. But the habilis now has a chance. A good chance. The tool is an equalizer. It bridges the gap in physical power. The fight is no longer about muscle. It's about intelligence. The ability to plan, to use an object from the environment, to understand that this rock can hurt that ape. This is a profound mental leap. Homo habilis wins, not because he is strong, but because he is smart. But even this scenario is probably unrealistic. These creatures didn't live alone. They were social animals, and that changes the calculation completely. Chimpanzees live in complex social groups. They have hierarchies, alliances, and enemies. Male chimps form patrols. They move along the borders of their territory. If they encounter chimps from another group, they will attack. These attacks are coordinated and extremely violent. A group of 5 or 6 male chimps on patrol is a lethal fighting force. They will surround, isolate, and kill a lone male from a rival community. They work together. We don't know for sure how Homo habilis lived, but we can make good guesses. The evidence suggests they also lived in groups. At archaeological sites, we find collections of stone tools and animal bones, suggesting a home base or a central location where a group processed food. Living in a group is a great defense against predators. It makes sense that habilis was a social creature just like us and just like chimps. A bigger brain also suggests a more complex social life. So let's imagine the final, most realistic scenario. A group of 5 Homo habilis are scavenging a kill on the savannah. Maybe a leopard has left behind a zebra carcass. They are using their sharp stone flakes to cut off meat and their heavy choppers to smash open the bones for the rich marrow inside. A patrol of 5 male chimpanzees spots them. They see the carcass and the small, weak-looking creatures around it. They see an opportunity. They begin their intimidating display. They hoot, they drum on their chests, they drag branches. They are trying to scare the habilis away. A lone habilis would run. But a group is different. They see the threat. They communicate. We don't know if they had language, but they could certainly communicate with gestures and calls. They understand the danger, and they all have tools. Each of the 5 habilis picks up their choppers and a few extra stones. They stand their ground. They are a coordinated unit, the chimps charge, but instead of meeting a single, terrified victim, they are met with a volley of rocks. 5 habilis throwing stones at once. The air is filled with projectiles. A few find their mark. A chimp gets hit in the head and goes down. Another gets hit in the shoulder and yelps in pain. The charge falters. The chimps are powerful, but they are not stupid. They understand pain and risk. And charging into a shower of stones is a bad idea. Maybe 1 or 2 chimps press the attack. They get close, but now they face 5 habilis, each armed with a heavy stone chopper. A single habilis with a rock is a threat. 5 of them working together presents a wall of crushing, cutting power. They can protect each other's flanks. If a chimp grabs one, another can strike it from the side. The chimp's advantage was overwhelming individual strength, but the habilis' advantage is teamwork multiplied by technology. The chimp's coordination is based on instinct and dominance. The habilis' coordination is based on a shared plan. A conscious goal: defend the food, drive them off. In this group-on-group battle, the odds shift dramatically in favor of Homo habilis. They might not even have to fight hand-to-hand. A determined, coordinated defense with projectiles would likely be enough to make the chimps back off and look for an easier meal. Why risk a broken skull for a piece of meat when you can find fruit somewhere else? This is the real answer to the question. The fight isn't about one individual versus another. It's about one evolutionary strategy versus another. The chimpanzee strategy is one of incredible physical specialization. It is perfectly adapted for a life of climbing and fighting for dominance within a forest environment. Its strength is its greatest asset. The Homo habilis strategy is one of generalization. Of adaptability, habilis wasn't the strongest creature on the savanna, it wasn't the fastest. It didn't have claws or fangs. Its advantage was a brain that could solve problems. Its solution to being physically weak was not to evolve more muscle, but to invent the tool. Its solution to being vulnerable was not to hide, but to cooperate in sophisticated ways. We outsourced our strength. A chimp carries its weapons in its mouth and its arms. A Homo habilis could pick up a weapon, or make one, anywhere there was a rock. This is infinitely more flexible, and once you start down that road, a feedback loop begins. Better tools mean better food. With stone tools, habilis could get meat and marrow, high-energy foods that were hard for other animals to access. Better food supports a bigger, more energy-hungry brain. A bigger brain can invent even better tools, can enable better social coordination, and can think more abstractly. This is the path we took, the path of mind over muscle. So could Homo habilis beat a chimp in a fight? The answer is yes. Not always. Not in every situation. A lone, unarmed habilis was a dead habilis. But that's the wrong way to look at it. Our ancestors survived because they were rarely alone, and they were never unarmed. They carried their weapons in their minds. They could turn a simple stone into a deadly weapon. And they could work together to overcome threats that were much stronger than they were individually. The victory of Homo habilis over a chimp isn't won with a punch. It's won with a thought. The thought to pick up a rock. The thought to sharpen its edge. The thought to throw it. The thought to stand with your friends instead of running away alone. That's the victory that mattered. It's the one that set our lineage on a course that would eventually lead to cities, to spaceships, and to us sitting here able to imagine this ancient fight in the first place. The real fight was an evolutionary one, and the winner was the creature that chose brains over brawn.